Too long I've trust. Lord, I'm coming home. Not long ago, a preacher closed out a revival in this town and had boarded a train to start on his journey home. And he sat down beside this young man, thought he'd start up a conversation with him by making some comment on the weather. But the man didn't answer him for a little while in silence. In a little while, the preacher heard the young man break out into songs. And he leaned over and put his arm around him and said, "Son, I'm a minister, and I'd like to help you in some way if I can." The young man replied, "Yes, preacher, I've got to talk to someone. Well, you see, about 2 years ago, I'd grown so wicked, till I went as far one day as to strike my dad with my fist. And Dad said, 'Son, you've grown so wicked that you worry your mother to death, and I'm going to have to ask you to leave home.' You see, preacher, for the past 2 years, I guess I've done just a little bit of everything to be thought of that was wrong. Up until about a week ago, when I kneeled down in an old-fashioned altar, and the Lord gloriously saved my soul. Now the first thing I thought of was my dear old mother and dad. Oh, I'd like to go back home. So I sat down and I wrote my dad a letter, asked him if he could find it in his heart to forgive me, to please let me come back home. And I told him I'd be on this train, and if he wanted me to get off, I would. I just kind of confused the preacher in the bed, and the preacher said, "Son, just how you going to know that your dad has forgiven you?" The young man replied, "Well, preacher, for just about all my life we'd have this old railroad track and a little broken down home. And in our backyard standing a great big old apple tree. I told my dad if he could find it in his heart to forgive me, just to tie a white flag in that old tree, and I'd get off." So a little while in silence. In a little while, the preacher heard the young man break out in his songs again. The young man replied, "Preacher, I'm almost home, but I keep burning love. Almost home, preacher, but I keep burning love." The preacher said, "Son, that'll be all right. He's solid for you, and I'll be your eyes." So he leaned over, wiped away the frost from the window so he could see. And as he looked down, a great big old smile broke over his face. He looked back at the young man and said, "Son," he said, "you ain't got a thing in this world to worry about. Why, it looks like that old apple tree in full bloom. And son, that's not all. That but standing dear old mother and dad, son, on waving a white flag. They got a big white bed sheet waving it and saying, 'Come on home, son. We still love you. Come on home.' And I'm so glad to know that we got a Father yonder in heaven. No matter how wicked we've been, no matter how much wrong we've done, maybe He's speaking to you now saying, 'Come on home, child. Come on home.'" Lord, I'm coming home.
As we come